everybody, welcome back to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on my YouTube channel. And in this video, we're going to take a look at, again, our UF8. This is part 3, where I'm going to show you how the UF8, some of the features and functions, and how it relates to the 360 software by Solid State Logic, the plugin mixer software. So I can kind of show you how that differs a little bit from the DAW and how you can control all of your plugins without ever having to leave this screen that you see before you right from the UF8. So that's what we're going to do in this video. If you have not seen the other videos in this playlist for the UF8 and the UC1, check the link in the description box below. We do everything from an unboxing. We walk through the UC1 and how that works. And now we're doing the UF8, and this is part 3 of the UF8. So make sure you check the link in the description box below. For also full disclosure, I want to personally thank Sweetwater and Solid State Logic for sending me the UF8 so I could do these series of videos for you today. And as always, they don't pay me for the videos. They don't get a chance to see them before they go live. And you know Uncle Dave is going to be very, very honest with you, and I'm going to tell you the things I love about the software and the UF8 and things that I think may need to be improved. I do that with you guys. You know, if you come here, you're going to get the truth. It's not influenced in any way because they sent this to me to review for you guys. So make sure you know that. But if you'd like to pick up yourself a UF8 or a UC1 or anything else from Sweetwater for that matter, check the link in the description box below. That is an affiliate link. And when you use that link, you can use that 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Copy that link, put it on your desktop to use in the future. It does help support what I do here, and I really do appreciate it to everyone who has used my affiliate links at Sweetwater in the past. Thank you so very much. Last but not least, before we jump in here and get to today's topic, if this is your first time here, go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. I want to give you a free mixing course. It's right on the homepage. It's a $97 or $127 offer. It's my gift to you just for visiting homerecordingmadeeasy.com. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you something else for free. So here we are. Here is the 360 software. And we're going to show you how the UF8 kind of works along with it. So that's what we're going to do today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to load up our 360 software just by hitting this button here in the top. Oh, there we go. In the top left-hand corner of the UF8, we hit the 360 button. That is going to launch the 360 software. So now the first thing we want to do, if we want to work inside of this window, now what we're going to do here is we're working inside of the 360 software. We're not mixing and working from inside of our DAW. So regardless of what DAW you're using, we happen to be using Studio One version 6, a couple of things you want to do. First thing you want to do is on the first channel of all of your tracks here, you want to insert one of the channel strip plugins. Today we're going to be using the new 4KB by SSL, or you could put channel strip 2 in, but you want to use one of their plugins. No, you cannot use other third-party plugins and then control them within the 360 software. This is just for the 3 plugins that you get for free when you buy yourself a UF8 or a UC1. The 4KB channel strip 2, and the G bus series compressor. So you want to put that on as your first insert here. That's what we've done here. We also want to keep all of our faders here in our DAW at 0 dB, right at Unity, because we're not going to use these faders at all. We're going to use them in the 360 software. So once you've done that, and then go ahead and launch your 360 software, and you'll see all your channel strips right here. And you can see that we can just select the tracks here, and it'll move along inside of our 360 software. That is great. Now, first thing you want to do also too when you come to the 360 software is if you come over here down to UF8, Layer 1, as we saw in the last series of videos, my primary DAW is Studio One. Layer 2, I'm using the plugin mixer, and that is the 360 software. So make sure you have that chosen here. Then we can go back here to the plugin mixer, and we want to make sure on the top left-hand corner of the UF8 that we're on Layer 2. That is the plugin software. That is what you're looking at right here, the 360. If I go back to Layer 1, then you're going to see things change on the UF8 so it works along with Studio One or whatever DAW that you're using. But when we go to Layer 2, the functionality of the UF8 is a little bit different, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So once you've done that and you loaded up your channel strip, here we are inside of the 360 software. So I want to show you how some of these buttons and keys work differently here than they did when we looked at it when you're just working inside of your DAW and not the 360 software. So the first thing we want to look at is our quick keys at the top left-hand corner here next to the layers. Right now we're on quick key 1. Quick key number 1 is just going to be in normal mode. So in other words, you select a track, it works just like you would expect. If you move a fader, it's moving it here in the 360 software, and you'll notice, just for a point of reference if you don't know this, let's say I take track 1 and turn it all the way down. Let me go back and take a look at our Studio One software and look at track 1. you'll see it's still at 0 dB. So this fader on the UF8 did not control track 1 in our DAW because we're on layer number 2 and we're only controlling the plugin software. Okay, I want to make sure that that makes sense, as you can see here. So when you're in Quick Key 1, we're in basic normal mode. You'll see the track names across the top, all of that, just like you would expect. When we go to Quick Key number 2, Quick Key number 2 is going to bring up the controls for our bus compressor if we happen to have one being used. And in our session, if you look over to the right side of the 360 software, if you don't see it, click this little triangle here. We have our G-Series bus compressor loaded up. I loaded that on my master bus in my DAW. Now these controls, when you're in Quick Key number 2, you'll see across the top of all of these encoders across the soft keys, we have threshold, attack, release, ratio, sidechain, filter, mix, external, here, external sidechain, all here. Those are the controls that are on the bus compressor. So for example, we press the first button here, we have threshold. And if you look at the bus compressor, you'll see that it controls the threshold control. If I go over to attack, the second soft key, it's going to adjust the attack, the release, so on and so forth. So when you're on Quick Key number 2, that gives you the soft keys controls for the bus compressor, okay? Number 3, Quick Key number 3. If I go back to number 1, now we're back to normal here, and I'll get more into this in a second. If we're on number 1 and we hit number 3 at the same time, what that does is Quick Key number 3 toggles the metering on the channel strip to the input and the output. So you can see the input or the output. And if you may not see this well on the camera, depending on how well it comes in focus or how well I can zoom up. But when I'm on Quick Key 3 here, you'll see that at the top here of the track, it says out, then it says in. So we're metering the input. Now we're metering the output. And you'll see that it temporarily comes up on the LCD screen. So you can take a look at your meters here. Let me play something here. So you'll see that it just changes the metering on your UF8 from the input to the output signal. Okay, so that's what the quick keys do. A little different than what it does when you're just working inside of your DAW. So that's what that does. So now we're back on Quick Key 1. We're in normal mode here again. We're on our kick. We can change our tracks. Lovely. We could turn our fader. Lovely. Now let's talk a little bit about how the V-pots and the soft keys control the actual plugin of each channel strip. So as I said, we're on Quick Key 1, and if you also look at the top, you'll see across each one of these tracks, we have the different controls of the channel strip, okay? So if I hit the first one, we're on the dynamics it says dynamics. And if I look at my channel strip over here on track 1 that's highlighted, if I were to press the encoder, you'll see here it turns to dynamics. Let me just see, I'll try to show you by clicking here. You'll see right under dynamics, you'll see this turns the dynamics section on and off on the channel strip because I have the dynamics soft key lit up. Okay, so that's for track 1. If I come over to the second encoder, that's going to turn off the dynamics on and off on track 2, track 3, track 4, track 5. So it's just like looking down at a real console, and you have right in front of you physically what mirrors on the screen, which is beautiful. So we have the soft key says dynamics, and then all of these 8 encoders are the on and off for the dynamic section. If you have more than 8 tracks like we do, you can just use your channel select, and now you'll see on the UF8 it's going to go over one track at a time, and all these buttons will do the same thing. It'll turn on and off. So right now I'm on track number 7, and you'll see over here it's turning off the dynamics. The only thing that I don't like about this is you'll see when I'm changing tracks one at a time, again, it changes on the UF8, but look what happens. The little blue box that highlights the selected track does not follow along with it. Once again, what happens on the hardware doesn't always mirror on the screen. That's one of the downsides to this, at least I feel it is. The only way you get that blue box around the track to move is to actually use the select button. There is no other way to do it, at least from what I can see. Again, if I am incorrect about that, someone at Solid State Logic sees this, or someone with more experience with the UF8 than me, please correct me in the comments. I'd love to make a follow-up video. So that's dynamics. Again, if we go over to compression mix, that is going to give us how our wet dry for our dynamic section. So again, right underneath the dynamics button, you'll see this. I'm turning this. It's turning the wet dry mix knob. Okay, pretty good. Again, and it'll do it on all the tracks. Here's the wet dry knob for track 2, track 3, so on and so forth. So we have all of our channel strip controls across the top of the LCD screens. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, there's probably a lot more than 8 parameters that we can control here, but there's only 8 encoders. So what happens when you get past number 8? That's where the soft keys come in. So let's start on VPOT. VPOT is going to take us to the very first set of controls. So again, we have our bypass. Bypass is going to bypass the entire, let me just move this over here so we can see it better. Select, let me just slide this, oops. There we go. So if we go to VPOT, the very first key in the top of the soft keys, our very first thing is bypass. We hit bypass, this turns the whole channel strip on and off. You can see that it does that here on each track. Right here, the track name is turning on and off. Okay? If we go to input trim, now that's going to do the input trim up here, right towards the top of the channel strip, and I can turn all of these input trims. Okay? Now we can go, number 3 is the phase flip. We can turn the phase flip on and off here. You can see that happening as well. Once we get past number 8, we can go to now soft key number 1. And that's going to give us the next set of parameters. Soft key number 2, the next set of parameters. Soft key number 3, 4, and 5. So it's going to give us all of the parameters for the entire channel strip across all 6 of these soft keys, the VPOT plus the 5 soft keys underneath it. So that behaves a little differently than what it does when you're working in your DAW. All these soft keys in the VPOT buttons are pre-mapped all the parameters for the 2 channel strips. So you can either, once you get to the 8th, you can click through all the different parameters, or you can use your page button down here. And you can cycle through them just like this. And as I hit the page button, you'll see in the top right-hand corner, the soft keys advance. See that? So this gives you a way to not have to use your mouse and to just start at the very first one. And you could go ahead and you can pick the parameter that you want to adjust on your channel strip, and then you can use your encoders to adjust it. That keeps your hands on the controller. That's very cool. It takes a little bit getting used to. I'm not going to lie to you because there are a lot of parameters. The one other downside about this, like when you turn the track select on the UF8, it does not advance in the software. The other thing that I don't like about this, and just something to be aware of, depending on the size of the display monitor that you're using, you'll see that I have to scroll down with my mouse to see the entire channel strip. So if we start at the top here, we're looking at the input, the dynamic section. The only way to physically see the EQ section is to scroll down with my mouse. There's no way on the UF8 that I can see, because I've tried all the different ways. I don't know of any other way to scroll down automatically. Again, if someone knows something that I don't, please leave it in the comment section below. So that's one where once you get through the dynamics and you want to go to your EQ section, let's say you want to page over here and you want to go to your low pass, which is right here. I can't physically see the low pass on track 1. I can't see it, right? I have to scroll down here to be able to see my low pass filters. Where are they? Here they are, right here in the EQ section. When it was up here, I can't see it. Okay, I have to scroll down. And now these all become low pass controls on these encoders. And the same thing with high pass. I go to high pass. So that is kind of a pain in the butt. But once you've scrolled down and you can see it all, unless you want to shrink up the resolution on your screen so everything's on the screen, but then you may not be able to see things very clearly. It gets, again, that's just personal workflow. But outside of having to do that one kind of annoyance, it is really cool to just be able to cycle through your different soft keys here and have all the parameters right in front of you. That's really great. You don't need to use your mouse for anything. That works out really, 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 really well. At least I feel that it does. The next thing I want to show you is the transport section. So the arrow keys down here in the bottom right-hand corner, when you're working inside of your DAW, these are navigation and zooming in and out on your track, on your edit screen. But in the 360 software, this now becomes the transport control. At the top of the 360 software, you'll see the transport up here. And right now we're stopped. If I hit play, which is the up arrow, and then stop, and then I can rewind and I can fast forward like an old style tape machine. The only thing I don't see here, oh, and you can hit record. I don't see a way to turn the loop on and off. That's the one thing I think you have to do with your mouse. I don't see a way to do that on the transport control. At least I haven't been able to find a way to do that. Maybe there's a way to, I'm not really sure, because I click on and off on this thing with my mouse. I don't see anything changing on the UF8, so I'm not sure how you do that. But again, not a big deal. But there's our transport section. Okay, so being able to get up and start mixing is really, you know, pretty straightforward. So let's say if we just wanted to do, for example, let's just pull down all of our, or we could solo them up here if we wanted to. Again, we can pull down all our faders here. And if we go back to, all the way back to track 1 here, and if we hit play, let me get my headphones on. Okay. So now we'll go to VPOT here. We're going to go to our input trim. Now we'll go to our output trim. We'll turn down the output to compensate so we can bypass before, after. So we could turn up our output trim a little. So we're kind of level matching. So you see how quick that is once you kind of memorize. So here's my output trim, here's my bypass, there was my input. Turned up my input to hit the channel strip a little harder, quickly go over to my output, use my encoder, then come back to my bypass and bypass it on and off, right? It's really that quick. Okay, now if I want to go down to, let's say, my EQ, which is going to be down here, I'll use my mouse. Here's my EQ type. So let's go to our high pass filters here. Low pass. We go to high pass. If we wanted to, now we can go to our next. This will bring up our EQ section. We can scroll down here so we can see. Let's start with our low frequencies. So we'll do our low frequency here. We'll make it a bell. Oop. Gain. Now let's go over to our low mids here. This is our type. Make it a bell or a shelf. Make it a bell curve. Low mid frequency. The gain. Frequency. Back to gain. Then we can go to our high frequencies up here if we wanted to. Okay, so we have high frequency here. We'll press that button. And then our gain. The type. Make it a bell. Now if we want to go back to our dynamics section, we can come back here. And here's our dynamic section right here. So we'll turn it on. 100% mix, compression ratio, threshold, release. Now, if I wanted to go back and bypass the plugin, back to VPOT 1, bypass. That's before. After. So, I will tell you, that is the very first time, God honest truth, the very first time I've ever done that. I didn't practice this off camera. As I said in my other videos, I like to do this live so you could see how easy and quick it is. The first time I've just navigated through the soft keys, figured out which parameter I wanted, hit the button and turn the encoder. That's the first time I've ever done that. Took a couple of seconds to kind of figure it out. You know, okay, where's the parameters going to be? But I wanted to show you that because I wanted to show you that with very little practice. Doing it for the first time, it's like, okay, I dialed in the EQ and the compressor pretty quick on that. It's not perfect, but just getting the feel and the muscle memory down to say, well, how complicated is this thing really? Does this thing make, you know, how hard is it to control these channel strips with the soft keys and the encoders? It's very, very easy. Now, I will say, and again, you'll have to check the playlist in the description below, when you pair the UF8 up with a UC1 and use the UC1 to control the channel strip, that's a little bit more efficient because the way that it's laid out, you don't have to touch a bunch of soft keys. It's all just right there in front of you. And we will do some videos where we're doing the UF8 with the UC1 so you can see the advantages of that 1-2 combination having both units. But if you just had the UF8, this can easily be done. And it is pretty quick. And with the exception of having to scroll through the EQ to the compressor with my mouse. With that exception, I didn't touch the mouse or the keyboard at all, right? Not a single time. Let's try the snare drum. So let's come over here, try the snare. Let's turn it on. And let's, here's our snare, right? So again, let's go back to the first section here. This will turn it on and off, right? Input trim. Turn that up. Output trim. Level match the plugin, go back to bypass. So we got to turn down the output a little bit more. Sorry that if the camera's out of focus because my hands are getting in the way. There we go. So now we got our input kind of turned up. So now let's go again over to our EQ section here. Let's go to the filters. I think it's going to be on right here. EQ type, VPOT 3. We want our high pass, low, and high pass filter. So it's right here on soft key 2. So if we hit low pass here, now, or if we want high pass, oops. Okay, now we're going to go to EQ. Let's go to those high frequencies. It's going to be here. High gain frequency, gain, type, bell. Now, the only downside to this too is you notice you don't see the frequencies. The only way you see the frequencies is if I hover my mouse over it, which I don't like. It's another one of my dislikes. I wish there was a way to, I wish there used to be on the old version of the 360 software, there was a focus mode where you can zoom up the channel strip and see the values kind of screen printed on the GUI. You don't see that anymore. I don't like that. Now, one benefit to that is I'm using my ears and not my eyes. I don't care what frequency it is. I just want it till it sounds good. Yes. But for beginners and people who really need that aid of seeing the frequency, you have to scroll your mouse over it. Again, if I'm mistaken about this, please leave a comment below and I will do follow-up videos if I don't have this stuff right, because I want to give you guys the correct information, but that's what I see. So here we are on our snare. Okay, let's bring a little bit of maybe, let's do like a low gain here. So we got to scroll down so I can see the low frequencies. Again, I don't like that, but that's just the way it is. So low gain. little bit of meat. Type, we get a bell. Frequency. Let's take it off solo. Okay, snare bottom, same thing. We can solo it up. Right, we can scroll back to the top here of our channel strip. Let's go back here, bypass. Okay, let's go to input trim. Let's crank that bad boy up. Let's flip the polarity. Let's see how that works with the snare. It's better without it. Okay, let's come over here to our dynamic section. Let's scroll down to our stay up here to our dynamic section. For our EQ, excuse me. And do our low pass and high pass. Okay, let's go to our high frequency on our EQ. Oh. High frequency over here. And our gain. Type, bell. Take it out of solo. Okay, so you kind of get the idea. Again, I've never done that before. It's the first time I've ever really done it. Sorry if the camera got in and out of focus on my hand versus the screen. But again, it's really clever. Once you kind of get down the muscle memory, you can start whipping around this pretty good. And again, you're doing everything right inside of this screen. You never have to look at your DAW. All of your tracks are laid out right in front of you, including your bus compressor. So it's a nice, easy way to have everything laid right out in front of you, just as if you were looking down at a real console. If you've never worked like that before, it takes a little getting used to, but take it from me, someone who comes from working on a real SSL, when you look down, everything is right in front of you. And this is what this kind of tries to do. And by giving you all the parameters of the channel strip right on the soft keys here and having everything laid right out in front of you, it really is quite nice. You keep your hands on the controller more than anything else. So that's kind of a quick little demonstration on how you can kind of do this. We're going to do a live stream of some other videos where we mix an entire song with this and the UC1 together. But I wanted to at least show you one way of working. And if you're not used to working this way, again, using this software could be a little tricky at first, but again, I think over time, what you'll find, it's a really nice, efficient way to do it. And as you're kind of zipping around and scrolling around through these things, you're going to find that, wow, this is actually pretty cool. And then what you're probably going to find is that once you like working in this way and having all the controls right in front of you, you're going to go out and buy a UC1 because it makes controlling the channel strip actually far faster and far easier. Because like I says, you don't need to start touching soft keys and moving over through parameters. You don't need to do that. If you're into if you're into this whole SSL ecosystem, the UF8, when you pair it with the UC1, it really makes a lot of sense because the UF8, even though it does plugin control, and as you saw in the last video, you can map third-party plugins to all these soft keys, it does work, but it's not super efficient. It's a tiny bit clunky. It's not the fault of the product. It's just because every plugin has so many parameters and there's no easy way to do it, because this is really, I believe, more for faders, transport, and that kind of thing. Plugin control is really not ideal on a UF8, although it does work, as I just showed you. But with the UC1, that's a game changer. And that's what we're going to look at starting in the next series of videos. So I hope you kind of enjoyed this kind of look at the 360 and how it kind of works, and you kind of get a feel for it. If you have a UF8, I encourage you to try this kind of workflow. And I think you'll find that over time, you'll really, really like it. But just realize that with using the UF8, you can either work in this mode, or you can just work with these channel strips right here in your DAW, and you can do the same thing. Everything that I changed in the 360 software, here's the kick track. You could see all the settings transfer. So when you're controlling the plugin inside of the 360 software, it's updating the actual plugin in your DAW as well. So you can mix in the 360 software with your channel strip. And then after that, if you have additional plugins like reverbs and delays or other kinds of tools that are not part of the SSL ecosystem as other inserts, you could just toggle back to this screen, and then you could go ahead and you can map your plugins to the UF8 like I showed you in the last video. So you kind of have the best of both worlds. So I want to thank you so much for checking out this video today. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, I want you to go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com because I want to give you a free mixing course. Again, we're talking about mixing over the last month with all this stuff with SSL, and I want to give you a free mixing course because I want to help you on your mixing journey. Go to Home Recording Made Easy, click on the orange button on the homepage, download that $100 course. It's my gift to you just for visiting homerecordingmadeeasy.com. And once again, once you take that course, if you dig my style of teaching and you want to check out one of my other full featured courses, I'd love to give you a 25% discount on any course on my website. Use the coupon code YouTube25 at checkout. That'll take 25% off any one of the training courses on my website. I highly encourage you that you check that out. We have everything from intermediate, beginner to intermediate, and advanced level training courses. Go check that out. And last but not least, if you really want to learn the craft of mixing, you want to get under the hood and you want really good foundational skills, and you want to mix a new song every month, and you want to use different plugins and different techniques and different concepts, perfect for beginners and intermediates, highly recommend you check out my mixing membership website, mixingmadeeasy.net. Go check that out. It is the fastest way to you getting professional sounding mixes, regardless of the DAW, regardless of your tools or your plugins. I can help you turn out professional sounding mixes. So again, thank you Sweetwater, thank you Solid State Logic for helping me with this series of videos by providing us a UF8. Make sure you click all the links in the description box below if you want to check out some other stuff and other videos in this series. And until the next video, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com and mixingmadeeasy.net. Thank you so very much for watching today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.